Lobster is the common name for a group of large-sized crustaceans belonging to the family Palinuridae. Nowadays, lobster is a sought-after seafood delicacy that receives significant attention in aquaculture. Their meat is delicious, rich in protein, and highly valued for export. Lobsters are predominantly found in tropical and subtropical regions around the world, such as Australia, Taiwan, China, Japan, Indonesia, and more. In Vietnam, lobsters are mainly distributed in the central provinces from Quang Binh to Binh Thuan. Particularly abundant in Con Hoa, Ninh Thuan, and Binh Thuan provinces. Their distribution varies with depth. Depending on the developmental stage and species, lobsters can be found at different depths. Adult lobsters typically inhabit depths of 20 meters or more, while lobster larvae and juveniles are often found in coral reefs and rocky areas at depths ranging from 2 to 10 meters. Lobsters usually inhabit rocky reefs and coral areas with numerous caves and crevices along the coast. They tend to aggregate near the seabed with clean, non-muddy substrates. During the day, they seek shelter in caves and exhibit minimal activity, while they actively forage at night. Lobsters thrive in marine environments with salinity levels ranging from 30 to 36 parts per thousand and temperatures between 25 and 32 degrees Celsius. As omnivorous animals, lobsters primarily feed on other animals such as fish, shrimp, crabs, sea urchins, small crustaceans, and mollusks. They also consume various types of seaweed. Lobsters are known for their active feeding behavior during the night and early morning hours. Their nutritional requirements vary depending on the developmental stage, with smaller lobsters having higher nutritional demands. In the days leading up to molting, lobsters exhibit vigorous feeding, while their appetite decreases during the molting process. The P. ornatus lobster reproduces sporadically throughout the year, but the main breeding season is from August to September annually. Their reproductive capacity is relatively large, and they can spawn multiple times in a year, usually twice a year. Lobsters with a carapace size of 90 to 99 millimeters can already participate in reproduction. When they lay eggs, the eggs are held on their swimmerets, and after a period of time, the eggs hatch into larvae. These larvae undergo a series of metamorphic processes to become juvenile lobsters that resemble adult lobsters. From hatching to the white lobster stage, it takes about 10 to 12 months. Choosing the location for lobster farming is a crucial first step. The selected location for lobster farming must meet the following requirements. It should be a place with high salinity, relatively stable, ranging from 30-360 and less affected by floods and tides. The ideal seawater temperature is between 24-32 C, preferably 26-30 C. There should be a source of clean water, with minimal contamination from industrial, agricultural, and urban waste. It should be a sheltered area with a suitable depth for constructing and managing lobster cages. The minimum water level during low tide should be at least 2 meters, and the bottom substrate can be sandy, muddy, or a combination of sand, mud, and small fragments of coral and shells. It should be located near seed sources, feed supply, and have convenient transportation routes. Depending on the conditions of each coastal area, different types of lobster cages can be designed. Currently, there are 2 common types of lobster cages: open cages and closed cages. Type of open cage. It is a cage that is fixed by wooden stakes driven into the ground. The suitable dimensions for the cage are 4 by 4 meters, 3 by 4 meters, and 4 by 5 meters. The height of the stakes depends on the depth at the cage placement location, ideally placed at a depth of 2 to 5 meters, at the lowest tide. Wooden stakes, round wood with a diameter of 15 to 20 centimeters or split wood, 5 by 10 centimeters, can be used. The length of the wooden stakes depends on the depth of the cage placement location. The stakes should be longer than the highest water level during high tide at the cage placement location by about 0.5 meters. The stakes are sharpened at one end and firmly driven into the ground, with a distance of 1.5 to 2 meters between 2 stakes. Horizontal beams are often made of round wood with a diameter of 12 to 15 centimeters or split wood, 4 by 6 centimeters, with a distance of 1.5 to 2 meters between beams. Iron frame, round iron bars, rebar, with a diameter of 18 to 20 millimeters are used to make rectangular frames, with a distance of 1 to 1.2 meters between 2 bars. The height, width, of the iron frame for the cage body is 1 to 2 meters, and the cage netting is directly attached to the iron frames and then assembled and fixed by the wooden stake frame. Cage netting. Currently, it is common to make cages with either single-layer or double-layer mesh tightly joined together. The material can be nylon mesh or PE mesh, with a mesh size of 2A equals 25 to 35 millimeters, depending on the size of the cultured species. For the bottom mesh, an additional layer of fly mesh is added to ensure that the feed does not spill out during feeding. Furthermore, to ensure safety, an additional layer of wire mesh, wire gauge 150 to 180, is reinforced in areas with iron frames, with a mesh size of 2A equals 35 to 40 millimeters. Cages used for breeding lobster require a smaller mesh size to prevent the lobsters from escaping, 2A less than 5 millimeters. The top of the cage must have a cover made of mesh to prevent loss of shrimp due to theft or flooding during high tides. In hot sunny days, cages built in shallow water areas need to be shaded for the shrimp on the cage surface using materials such as coconut leaves, or nets to prevent excessive shrimp activity or overcrowding. Two, enclosed type, mobile cage. This type of cage is suitable for areas with strong winds and high depths. The size of the enclosed cage is usually smaller than that of the open cage for convenient transportation. The appropriate dimensions for the cage are length x width x height, corresponding to 3 by 2 by 2 meters or 3 by 3 by 2 meters. It is designed like a rectangular box made of rectangular steel frames, and a plastic pipe with a diameter of 10 to 15 centimeters is placed on the cage lid for convenient feeding. The materials used for the steel, Frame construction, mesh, and attaching the net to the steel frame are similar to those of the open cage. This type of cage is not fixed with poles and can be easily moved from one place to another. In case of areas with strong winds, this type of cage needs to be anchored with ropes. Whether it's an enclosed or open type, the cage must be placed at least 0.5 meters above the seabed. The disadvantage of this type of cage is that it is more difficult to operate and manage compared to the open type.